Thou art not invited this Easter, my mother did softly declare. Verily, I shall not part with my $9,800, I declared whilst severing the bonds of electricity, water, and internet from their abode. Pray, do not enter. Thus did my mother utter her first words upon the opening of the door. Neither embrace nor affection shall be bestowed. Not a grin to be found. Nay, joyous Easter to thee, my dear. Merely 3 simple, hushed utterances that stole the breath from my very being. Upon the threshold I lingered, a vessel of fine vintage clasped in one hand, whilst in the other, a basket brimming with exquisite confections of chocolate eggs lay nestled. In a garment of azure hue, which she favoured, I adorned myself, for she declared it did enhance the brilliance of mine own gaze. She oft proclaimed such with great pride. Nay, she would not deign to meet mine eyes. What dost thou mean? I didst blink. Thou jest, prithee. Mine mother cast a fleeting glance o'er her shoulder, then did step forth, gently drawing the portal nearly to a close behind her. Merely a narrow aperture ajar, as though I were a perilous spectre. Methinks 'tis best if thou dost not enter this day, she murmured softly. The atmosphere about me turned to ice. For 3 long hours, I traversed the road to arrive at this very place. I know, quoth she, her voice but a whisper still. Yet the atmosphere is fraught with unease. And thus, Olivia hath declared that she shall not grace this gathering with her presence should thou be in attendance. Verily, indeed. Fair Olivia. Alas, I ought to have discerned her hand in this mischief. She hath ever been. From within, the sound of mirth did echo forth, the gentle chime of goblets meeting in joyous revelry. Lo, it was likely Uncle James who didst chuckle and proclaim, a toast to the true kin gathered in unity. Then did mine ears perceive her presence. Olivia's voice, resounding and sweet as honey. Verily, this year doth seem most tranquil. Let not the shadows of despair linger. No theatrics. Mine heart did yearn to let forth a cry. Yet I did not. I merely bestowed a smile. Serenely. The sort of grin that whispers, thou art blissfully unaware of the tempest that approaches. Pray, dost thou know what? I did proclaim, as I drew forth my device. Indeed, most excellent. May thy Easter be filled with tranquillity and joy. Yet, do not anticipate the return of my $9,800 henceforth. The visage of my mother underwent a transformation. She didst blink, her mind awash in confusion. What coin dost thou speak of? She inquired with a measured cadence. I gazed into her eyes with unwavering intensity. The spark of life. The liquid essence of life. The vast expanse of the digital realm. The dues I have been rendering each month for this abode. The assistance thou didst mention, merely until father regains his footing. Pray, what tidings dost thou bring? They bear my name, and I did but close the door upon them. Her lips did part, then swiftly sealed once more. She didst turn pale as the moonlit night. What dost thou speaketh? Thou didst not. Pray, say thou didst not. I did incline my device. Behold this application. One gentle touch. I do press my thumb upon the glassy surface, as if to summon forth the spirits within. All illumination doth fade away. From within the confines of these walls, I did hear fair Olivia's voice raised in exclamation, for the connection to the ether hath been severed. What dost thou speak of? Mother, prepare the midday repast for the device of communication. Yet I did withdraw. Joyous Easter, I proclaimed. I didst turn and make my way back to mine carriage. None did pursue. None did offer an apology. As I took my place behind the wheel, lo! Olivia did emerge in the threshold, her visage aflame, brandishing her device aloft. Art thou mad? We were on the brink of partaking in our midday repast. I didst roll down the window and didst call back, summon thy true kin. Perchance, they shall settle the debts come the morrow of the next moon. And thus I did depart, my chariot taking flight. No remorse. Without a shadow of doubt. That was the hour I ceased to be their servant of convenience and transformed into the spectre they could no longer manipulate. In times past, I would assure myself that my actions were of aid. That I bore the weight of responsibility. That kin doth embody selflessness. Many a thought I did impart unto myself. Verily, there was a moment when my father did summon me amidst a gathering of discourse. Verily, the power shall be extinguished, he declared with a certain frankness. What dost thou mean? Once more, I did softly murmur, as I ventured forth into the corridor. Merely for a fleeting span of days, he did declare. If thou art able to cover it, I shall return it by Friday. He did not return it henceforth. Yet I did render payment regardless. As is oft the case. Mine own kin hath a storied past of seizing without entreaty, and what of me? Mine is a tale of enduring acquiescence. When my father didst lose his employment 3 years hence, I did take it upon myself to assist with the payment of our utilities. When my mother found herself in need of a dental procedure, one that bore no immediate peril yet stirred within her a sense of unease, I took it upon myself to provide the necessary support. When fair Olivia found herself unable to renew her chariot's lease, I did lend my name to the new agreement and did pay the first 6 moons' dues. In the beginning, it brought a sense of delight. I was the steadfast soul, the individual who possessed a harmonious disposition. Yet, with the passage of time, that admiration did transform into a weighty expectation. Then comes the claim to rights. Then let it be met with scorn. Thou art most fortunate to be childless, Olivia would declare at the evening repast. Thy wealth, dear friend, is but thine own. How delightful that must be! Text, dost thou refer to the coin I did employ to settle thine accounts? I did respond but a single time. Oh, prithee, she did scoff. Do not feign it as an act of benevolence. Thou dost relish the sensation of being exalted above others. Mother did interject. Her intent was not as it may have seemed. Nay, I meant precisely that, quoth Olivia, a smirk gracing her lips. Dost thou believe we ought to prostrate ourselves forsooth, merely for the settling of a few debts? A pair of notes. Pray, let us discourse upon a pair of accounts. Liquid of life. $63 each moon. O wondrous force that doth illuminate our world! $210 each month. Web of connections. $8.90 each moon's cycle. Lo. Streaming services, plans for mobile devices, and the whims of Amazon's offerings dost abound? I ceased to tally. Upon perusing mine banking application in the preceding month, I didst come to the realization that I had dispatched the sum of $9,800 in the span of the last 12 months alone. And yet, to their eyes, I remained the acrimonious, self-serving sibling who never graced the family portraits with a smile. The most lamentable aspect. Mine eyes hath seen such things that naught could stir my heart to wonder. Not long past, I chanced upon a discourse not meant for mine ears. Upon my arrival at the abode, unbidden and without prior notice, I didst deliver a humble offering of provisions, only to be met with a sweet sound of mirth emanating from the kitchen. He doth carry himself with such tension, quoth Olivia. One might presume that settling a handful of debts hath crowned him sovereign of all realms, quoth mother. Verily, he doth seem to be in a state of solitude, quoth my father. He toils excessively. All that wealth, and nary a soul to lavish it upon. At the very least, he serves a purpose, quoth Olivia. Verily, I would weep should I be compelled to bear the burden of mine own internet expenses. They did all burst forth in mirthful laughter. There I lingered, a statue upon the threshold, burdened by the weight of provisions in my grasp. No soul beheld my presence. I didst turn and depart, silent as the night. In the twilight hours of that eve, I didst revoke the autopay for their Netflix and Disney Plus subscriptions. On the morrow, Olivia did send a missive. Hath the Wi-Fi faltered, or dost thou neglect thy dues once more? Though I held my tongue, the true moment of fracture arrived 2 moons past. Upon entering mine account to effectuate a transfer of funds, I chanced upon a most peculiar sight. Numerous transactions of the Apple Pay kind, most perplexing and unfamiliar to mine own eyes. A fresh tome of technological marvel, the MacBook hath arrived anew. A sanctuary for rejuvenation. Subscriptions, thou dost beckon with promise and allure. Garments of exquisite design. All charged to the card I had bestowed upon my mother, for the sake of unforeseen circumstances. With haste, I summoned her presence forthwith. Hast thou procured a MacBook, perchance? Alas, that was intended for fair Olivia. She required one for her laborious endeavors. What of the retreat? She found herself amidst a tempestuous season. Verily, she wept each night, her tears falling like the gentle rain. With mine own coin, she fell into a hushed stillness. Thou dost earn more than we altogether, she uttered with a gentle tone. Verily, it is not as if thou art bereft of means to procure it. I did sever the connection in silence. For many a day, I pondered whether to face them in earnest. Yet, a thought did cross my mind, harking back to a remark made by fair Olivia on the occasion of our last Thanksgiving feast. Each of us dons our masks upon the stage of life. Mine is a splendid affair. Thine is the purse that doth bear the cost of the fowl. She did laugh, a sound most merry and light. All were filled with mirth. I did don a smile and stifled my pride within. Yet now, mine eyes could scarce behold a fowl without a tempest of despair rising within me. In the season of renewal, it was once thought that we might don the guise of goodwill, feigning concern for our fellow souls. Lo, I have procured tokens of delight for the young ones, secured a respite from my labors, and even arranged for a feast on the morrow's Sunday. A fortnight past, a missive from my mother did grace my device. Dearest, might thou ensure that the utility payments are settled ere the weekend approaches? Fair Olivia doth prepare a merry hunt for eggs within her abode. I made no reply. Yet I have rendered payment. $385 for their ease and solace. Nothing in return for thy kindness. And thus did the season of resurrection arrive. With a bottle of wine and sweet confections in hand, I was met with naught but a closed door before me. Thou art not invited this Easter, quoth my mother. Olivia took great care to ensure that the tidings reached mine ears. Verily, it doth feel more pleasant devoid of the melancholy, she did call from within. Let us maintain a merry spirit this year. They sought illumination. I bestowed upon them the shroud of night. Verily, there exists a void of electric current. Alas, no water doth remain. Alas, the web doth elude me. I found myself ensconced within my carriage, observing as the abode gradually succumbed to the encroaching shadows. The lantern upon the porch dimmed and extinguished its glow. The gentle cascade of the lawn sprinklers hath ceased. Olivia didst burst through the front door a mere 5 minutes hence, brandishing her phone as though it were a sword of valor. What actions hast thou undertaken? She did cry out in a most piercing manner. I did unfasten the pane of glass, allowing the gentle breeze to enter. Rejoice in the Eastertide, I did declare, as thou dost desire, sans my presence. And thus I departed, at last comprehending that at times the sole path to mend one's spirit is to sever the ties that bind. Before I could even set foot upon my threshold, the summons did commence. First the matron, then the sire, then fair Olivia. Once more, 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 once more. Text thou dost claim a journey to Paris for business, yet 'tis not but a week of indulgence at a spa in Palm Springs. Her visage turned pale as the moonlit night. Didst thou peruse mine belongings? Text thou hast employed mine credit card for the fare of yon flying vessel. I comprehend the declarations. Brilliance. Father sought to divert the discourse. Verily. Pray, behold. We have, without doubt, erred in our endeavors. Alas, but a few. I did sever his connection. Father, thou didst declare unto me, with utmost candor, that I hold no rightful seat at the table, and that fair Olivia, with her bright prospects, is more worthy of assistance. Thou didst gaze into mine eyes and uttered such words. Uttered. In a hushed tone, he confessed his ire. Nay, I did declare. Thou wert truthful. Forsooth, on this occasion. Mother hath made her approach. My dearest, I beseech thee. We are bound by the ties of kinship. Pray, shall we commence anew? Revoke thine actions forthwith. Nay, I declared with a chill in mine voice. For thou didst not merely cast me aside this Easter. Thou didst cast me aside many moons past. Thou hast been well in seizing that which thou dost require. Yet the moment I utter a denial, lo, I am the scoundrel. Olivia did tremble now. She had traversed the realm of crimson ire to a more subdued tempest within. Thou shalt rue this day, she uttered with clenched jaws. Text, dost thou believe that severing our ties shall bring thee solace? Thou shalt find thyself in solitude. Well met. I did declare. To dwell in solitude is a far nobler fate than to be drained by those who greet me with false smiles yet cast aspersions upon my name in my absence. Hark! A hush descends. A weighty, charged stillness enveloped the chamber, thick with an unseen tension. Then I rose to my feet. Lo, I shall now unfold the course of events, I declared with a serene demeanor. Thou shalt discover an alternate path to settle the bills of the hearth. Thou shalt transfer the lease of the chariot from my name within the span of 30 days. Thou shalt cease thy usage of mine Netflix, mine Spotify, and mine Amazon Prime. Should thou fail to comply, I shall seal all matters henceforth. Evermore. Thou wouldst not, began my father. Challenge me, I did proclaim. And mother, should you ever attempt to lay upon me the burden of guilt with the words, Thou art our son, take heed, for sons are worthy of affection, not demands for recompense. Mother's tears did flow. Father cast his gaze downward. Fair Olivia. With a tempestuous spirit, she burst forth from the threshold, the door's resounding crash causing a portrait to teeter askew. And I cared not a whit. I did not comprehend the matter at hand. Did not provide elucidation. Nothing hath been mended. For the first time in mine existence, I did not endeavor to mend the matter. I did shut the portal, securing it with a key, and let forth a breath of relief. The conflict hath ceased. And at last, victory was mine. The hush that followed was most extraordinary. No summons. No texts. No abrupt raps upon the portal. It seemed as though they had all conspired to render me invisible. Pray, dost thou know what? It didst feel wondrous. For the first time in many a year, I arose without that heavy weight upon my breast, the one that doth murmur, What demands shall be placed upon thee this day? No longer shall I peruse my banking application to ascertain whether I possess sufficient funds to address their most recent calamity. Let there be an end to the false camaraderie of gatherings, where jests are exchanged and mine own words are met with silence. Let there be no more festive seasons burdened by remorse, where I bestow presents upon all and receive naught but socks in return. I found myself unbound. And what of the stillness? The stillness was most exquisite. My slumber hath improved, my sustenance hath flourished, and my existence hath taken a turn for the better. I procured a modestly priced, pre-owned lute and embarked upon the journey of self-instruction in the art of chords. Once more, I found myself in the company of dear companions from my days of yore, whom I had not laid eyes upon in many a season. Upon a whim, I did enroll in a course of capturing images, for it had long been a desire of mine, yet time had ever eluded my grasp. Or vigor, or a realm to dwell. Forsooth, in this singular moment, each transgression I hath accrued did serve to benefit mine own self. My due for habitation. Mine provisions. Mine own destiny. It did seem rather self-serving. Then it seemed most pleasing. Then it seemed most fitting. Lo! A week hence, fair Olivia didst unveil a lengthy tale upon the realm of Instagram, a lamentation most fervent. Darkened canvas. Blank parchment. Timeless tale of veiled intentions and unspoken grievances. There are those who, in times of dire need, may choose to depart from your side. Yet the Almighty doth behold all that transpires. Verily, the wheel of fate doth turn with a justice most profound. I chose to remain silent, yet I did capture it in a still image. For the mirth. In the days that followed, my father did summon me with a call. I gazed upon the screen, its call echoing through the air. 5 times, indeed. Then, a message left in the ether. Greetings. Your mother doth wear a frown. Olivia doth speak of parting with her chariot. Pray tell, What compels thee to pursue this course? Verily, it hath ventured beyond the bounds of reason. We are bound by the ties of kinship. Pray, summon us. I made no call. Instead, I did dispatch unto Olivia the forms for the transfer of the car lease. Time doth draw nigh. Fortnight's span. Title of the missive. Thou art most welcome. Then did the true astonishment arrive. Lo, Kelly, the spouse of mine cousin, didst make contact from the ether, as if summoned by fate itself. At the gathering of Easter's cheer, she stood in the shadows, a silent witness to the tempest that arose, as Olivia unleashed her ire and my mother grasped her pearls, as though a grave crime had been committed before her very eyes. In the stillness of the night, she did send forth a missive unto me. Pray, forgive the strangeness of my words, yet I feel compelled to express my gratitude. Never have I beheld one from this kin rise in such defiance for their own cause. Verily, it hath opened mine eyes to the manner in which they regard their fellow beings. Thou wert unworthy of such treatment. I trust this missive finds thee in good spirits. I gazed upon the missive for a spell, lost in contemplation. There was a witness to the event. At long last, mine presence hath been acknowledged. I did pen a response forthwith. I find myself in a state of exceeding well-being. For the first occasion in many a moon. Yet, verily, tranquillity doth not endure eternally within my kin. Fortnight hence, I return to mine abode to discover a missive affixed to my chamber's portal. No mark of origin. Within lay a missive penned by my dear mother. What dost thou inquire of the opening verse? We nurtured thee with greater expectations than this. The final one, thou shalt ever remain our progeny, though thou mayest have lost the understanding of what that entails. I didst fold it in twain, cast it into the refuse, and ventured forth to partake in tacos. Forsooth, herein lies the matter they shall ne'er comprehend. I have not lost sight of the essence of kinship. They were blissfully unaware. They believed affection was dominion, that coinage was akin to servitude, the sort of stillness that allows thine own voice to return unto thee. Forsooth, for many a year, mine own voice hath been but a whisper, lost to mine ears. Upon the break of dawn, I would rouse from slumber and forthwith commence the ponderous task of discerning whom I must rescue on that very day. Mother found herself in need of $300 to settle a fleeting charge for the fuel that propels our chariots. Alas, fair Olivia found her account ensnared in a frozen state, just as she faced the dire prospect of a concert she could not afford to miss. Alas, my father's credit card payment hath fallen behind, and should I not intervene, his score would surely suffer a grievous blow. With each utterance of assent, I found myself diminishing ever so slightly. They did not inquire. They did anticipate. They offered no words of gratitude. They jested. They were blind to my presence. They did employ me for their own ends, and I permitted them to proceed. Forsooth, I believed that such was the essence of love, a weighty embrace that doth constrict the very breath of life. I once believed that the essence of necessity mirrored that of desire. Yet it is not so. To be employed is not to be cherished. It required but a single resounding door's closure and a severed thread of power to bring forth such understanding. Upon the passing of Easter, the missives ceased to flow. Cease thy menaces. Cease thy entreaties. Let not the burdens of remorse be adorned with ribbons of deceit. It is as though I have met my end, and they possess too much decorum to utter such a truth. Yet that visage of the spectre? It bestowed upon me the most lucid glimpse of mine own existence I have ever beheld. Upon embarking on this journey of introspection, I found myself pondering inquiries that had long remained unvoiced, shrouded in silence. What dost thou desire? What manner of being am I beyond their gaze? What dost occur if I cease to be their source of sustenance? Pray, dost thou wish to hear of my discovery? Inhale deeply. Expanse beyond the earthly realm. Delight. I have acquired the noble art of preparing sustenance for mine own self. Authentic feasts. Not merely a repast of grain and ignominy. On the Sabbath of the week, I did partake in a gathering of harmonious souls, where melodies entwined and spirits soared in a delightful jam of music. I embarked upon the craft of weaving tales, penning verses, and indeed, even this humble endeavor. Lo and behold, beneath the weight of remorse lies a complete soul. Then, on a fair eve, weeks hence from the tumult, I chanced upon a soul within the hallowed aisles of a bookstore. A maiden I once encountered in my days of scholarly pursuit, Rachel. She appeared transformed. More joyous. Brighter. We partook of coffee, engaged in discourse, and at a certain juncture, she inquired, "Art thou still in close communion with thy kin?" I didst pause. Thus did I utter it, truly utter it, for the maiden time without quaking. Nay, I severed their ties. She didst blink. And then, she didst smile. Well met. I did chuckle heartily. Such a turn of events was not anticipated by me. Many a soul doth gaze upon me as though I have laid bare a most heinous crime. She didst shrug her shoulders. Many a soul remains unaware of the plight of one who bears the weight of familial burdens, oft treated as naught but a mat beneath their feet. We did converse for many an hour, concerning the limits that define our existence, concerning the restoration of the spirit and body, concerning the resolute act of embracing one's own desires without the burden of remorse. Upon that eve, as I traversed the path towards my abode, a revelation dawned upon me. I was no longer in tatters. I found myself in the midst of reconstruction, from the very foundation onward, absent from their presence. And thus it was deemed acceptable. Time didst flow, weeks transforming into months. Upon my keen observation, I began to perceive the minutiae that held profound significance. Mine heart dost not leap as it once did when the device doth sound its call. No longer did I gaze upon my treasury with a heart full of trepidation. I ceased to peruse Olivia's social media, biding my time for the next sting of her words. And on a certain day, I chanced upon a moment of mirth, truly laughing at a jest shared by another. It struck me as a tempestuous tide. Verily, what a marvel! Mine heart doth swell with joy, not for the reason that a wondrous event did unfold. Yet, forsooth, naught did sap my spirit henceforth. Forsooth, in this moment most rare, I found myself unshackled from the burdens of another's need. In that moment, I was but a mere reflection of my own essence. Awake. Arise. Unraveled. Then, in a most unexpected turn, I received a missive upon the device of voices. From Mother. Her voice did tremble, gentle and delicate, as if it might shatter at any moment. Greetings, dearest. Verily, I do hope thou art faring well. Olivia hath been traversing a most arduous path. The abode hath felt altered in thy absence. Verily, I perceive thy ire. Verily, I acknowledge our missteps. Yet thou art still our beloved son. Thou art cherished by us. Thou art sorely missed. Upon mine ear, the message did resound twice. And for the first occasion, mine eyes did not weep. I felt no compulsion to return. Guilt did not weigh upon my conscience. Or fury. Alas, I found myself concluded. And what of that sentiment? It was not a chill in the air. The air was suffused with warmth, as if one were basking in the golden rays following a gentle shower. Thus, I present to thee the knowledge I possess at this moment. To refuse is not to bear the mark of cruelty. To establish limits doth not render thee devoid of compassion. To depart from those who bring forth toxicity, even if they share thy blood, is not an act of treachery. It is the essence of existence. And verily, perchance my name hath become a term of disdain at their feasting board. Perchance they shall weave a tale anew. Cast me in the role of the nefarious one. The thankless wretches. The frigid of heart. Allow them to proceed. They have departed from my existence henceforth. What of my existence? At last, it is bestowed upon me. Thus, if thou art perusing these words, and art weary of being the one who perpetually gives, perpetually forgives, and perpetually sacrifices whilst they jest behind thy back, allow me to serve as thy testament. Thou art permitted to cease. Thou art permitted to take thy leave. Thou art permitted to select thyself. And should they ever declare that you are unwelcome, respond thus: Splendid, for I did not arrive here seeking their welcome. I have arrived to cease the flow of crimson life. Then thou dost stand with great stature, exit yon portal, and ne'er cast thine eyes behind. Forsooth, Tranquility is not a realm bestowed upon thee. It is the realm thou dost reclaim when at last thou dost declare, enough.